Hey guys, Hackexploit here, back again with another video, and in this video we're going to be looking at QuasarRAT. Alright, so let's get started. Now before we get started, I just want to make a quick Hackexploit app, and I have completed it now, and I'm looking to get it published by tomorrow. I had a few delays with the app and getting everything up and running, but no need to worry now. The app will be released on Monday and will be on the Play Store, the Google Play Store, by Tuesday, the latest. All right, so I'm looking to get that verified on the Google Play Store, and we should be good to go. All right, so let's get started with the video. So as I said, this video is about how to set up and how to use QuasarRAT. All right, so you might be asking yourself, well, what is a RAT? You could be asking yourself. So for those of you who don't know what a RAT is essentially a remote access tool and does essentially what the name describes it to do. It gives you remote access to a operating system or a computer or even a mobile device. But in this case, QuasarRAT is a remote administration tool that works or is made for Windows. All right, so this will give you the functionality to use it on Windows. All right, so it's coded in C#, so that will just give it a whole lot of stability when running on Windows as an operating system. All right, so it does have a user interface and it's fantastic. Right now, looking at some of the features that we have, some of the best features have to be the fact that it gives you the noip.com support, which means you can use a dynamic DNS and if you perform your port forwarding, which is essential if you're trying to run this over the internet using your public IP address. All right, so you can the other awesome features are that you can view the task manager on the client or the target's computer. You can view the file manager. You can use the startup manager. You can perform a remote desktop connection. All right, you can perform remote webcam commands, meaning you can take pictures, record video. You have the remote shell. You can upload and execute. You can download and execute. You have a keylogger. You can perform computer commands like shutting down, restarting, and standby. You can use reverse proxies. All right, which means you can use reverse SOC 5 proxies. So if you're using proxy chains, you're good there. And you have your registry editor. Now that is a lot of power. So I have to throw out caution. Please, please, please. Do not use this in any illegal way. I have to throw the disclaimer, and whatever you do with it, I'm not going to be held responsible, because again, this is going to be, it just gives you a lot of control over whoever's computer you try and attack, if that's what you're going to do. So again, I'm not going to be held responsible for this. I'm just going to show you how everything works and how to get it up and running. All right. So the simple requirements is that you need Net Framework installed on the client and on your host operating system, right? So it does work on both 64-bit and 32-bit operating systems architectures. You have the operating system supported are Windows XP all the way to Windows 10. Fantastic, right? So let's get started. Now I already have the GitHub repository opened up right here. So it's QuasarRAT. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So again, all credits go to the rightful author. And a lot of you guys have been asking me why I'm doing these type of videos, and the reason why I'm doing them is the special tools that I'm showcasing give you a good idea of how they work. So essentially what I'm trying to show you here is I'm going to show you the tool, and hopefully that will get your curiosity running and you'll be looking into making one of your own. So that's all I'm trying to do, right? So, and plus this is a fantastic tool if you're using it the right way, right? So again, it's really very simple. You can just clone the repository, and I'm going to be working on Windows because that's what it recommends. And you need Net Framework. So what I'm going to do, I already have the RAT installed, downloaded, and I have it set up, and I'm going to be using that for demonstration, right? So what I'm going to do is I've created a RAT folder on my desktop. So I'm going to save everything in the RAT folder. So I'm using GitHub on Windows, which is it allows me to perform the clone commands and just allows me to download all the files much more easier. All right, because I use this a lot for my code management. Right. So what I'm going to do is let me just go back here. I'm going to browse into my RAT folder. You can save it on your desktop if you want to, which is what I've done, but I'm just going to be showing you how to do it. So I'm going to say git clone. All right, so I'm saving everything in this file just for the purpose of showing you how to download the files. Whoops, did I clone the repository? There we are, we've copied it. Let me just do that again, and I'll paste that in here, right? So paste that in there. and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to start cloning. It's going to download the files. The files are quite large, a few megabytes. I'm not quite sure of the speed, so please do pardon my internet speed. It shouldn't take too much time if you have a very, very good connection. So let's open up the folder that we saved all the files into, which is the RAT. And as you can see, QuasarRAT. All right. Now, when you open this, you might be a little confused. All right. So don't be confused. It's really, really very simple. You have two options of building you have two options of building the app or the RAT for this matter. You can use the Visual Studio Solution file right here, which allows you to open the project in Visual Studio and to compile it or to build it. All right. So if you're looking at, if you want to look at how that code works, you can again look at that, and you can, perform some reverse engineering as to how it works, and you can learn a lot really by doing that. But we're not going to do that because I want to really show you how it's done very easily. The other way is to use the Windows batch files that are here. You have your debug and you have your release. So obviously we want to run the release because again, that is the release version. The debug version won't allow us to use everything. So you just want to open that up, and it's going to start building the release version. Give it a few seconds. It shouldn't take too much time. It shouldn't take any time at all. Don't worry, it gives you a few errors. Don't worry about that. And it's going to build everything into the bin folder. All right. So enter the bin folder and enter the release folder. And there we are. That's your executable RAT folder, your RAT file. All right. So I'm going to close that up. And since I already have it downloaded, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete that because, as I said, I've already downloaded all of that. And I'm going to open up my folder, which I already created. And I'm going to go into my release, right? And I already created the remote access tool. And I've already logged it onto my other Windows computer on my network, and I'll show you that it does work. But I'm going to blur out some of the information for my privacy as well. So I'm just letting you guys know that. So once you open up Quasar, you just open it up like that. And as you can see right now, we have nothing because I'm not connected that computer to the network yet. And that's because I want to just showcase how to run this. All right. So the first thing is let's look at the file, and that's pretty simple. It allows you to close it. So that way it's a really, really simple RAT. And in here you have your computers or your clients that are going to be connected. So as you can see, they are sorted into IP addresses. You have your tag, your user PC, which is the name, the version and the status, user status, the country they're in, the operating system they're running, and the account type. All right. Account type being administrator or UAC. All right. In the settings, we have something very, very interesting. You can set the port you want to listen to. I recommend just using the default port that they give you. It's really not, the best thing to change the ports and then, make a mistake when building the file and, you're listening on a different port. All right. So leave this on the defaults. Again, you can change whatever you feel like if you're confident in doing that. You have your IPv6 support. You can listen for new connections on startup. So that's if you want to run this as soon as you start up your computer. You can try and port forward. Also very, very important. You can also activate the no IP DNS updater. I told you about that, which is really, really important, or one of the best services when running a remote access tool over the internet. What I mean is if you're connecting using your public IP, you're trying to create the reverse connection, right? Because that's how a remote access tool works. You're not using the target's IP. You're using your IP. So it's very, very good or important to shield your IP in case the person finds out and is able to reverse engineer that and find out what IP or what is the outgoing connection, right? Whether or not it's coming through a port that is not listened to, I hope you get the idea. So we're not going to do that because I'm going to be demonstrating this on my network. Again, this is my lab. I run this lab, and that means that everything is on me. I'm not hacking someone else's computer. So for those of you asking why my YouTube channel isn't getting copyright strikes, it's because everything is running in my lab and I'm doing it in an ethical way, right? So I'm going to close that up, and we're going to go to the builder section now. Now this is very, very important right here. Right. So, as you can see, we have the basic settings first. Now in here, you can select your client tag, and that's the name of the client that you want to specify. So let's say if you had a computer, this is just the name that you want to give to the computer you're going to be listening to. right? You then have your process mutex, and this is something I wouldn't recommend you to touch if you don't know what it really means. This is really when it comes down into understanding the process management in a computer and how Windows handles it. So if you've understood how that works, you'll understand what a mutex is. So as it says, a unique mutex ensures that only one instance of a client is running on the same system. This just means that you can only run the RAT is running on one instance on that system instead of it running multiple times and giving you multiple instances, right? So let's look at the connection settings now. Now again, as you can see, I'm running this on my local network, and I've already set this computer, my host computer. I've set the local IP address and it's listening on that port. To do that, just enter it here. It's important. You need to, otherwise you're not going to get any connection when you create the file. So if you're a local network, you want to select this IP network's IP address. This computer's IP address, local IP address again. If you're trying to do it the public IP way, I'm sure you know how to do that as well. But again, if you're going to do that, I highly recommend that you use a dynamic DNS. Okay, so once you've added, you have to make sure that this port is the same as the one you're going to be listening on. Very, very important. And this is for your encrypted connection. Just leave that as default. The password is 1234. You can change that if you're interested in doing that. The installation settings, very, very important now. Now this is where social engineering comes into place a little bit, right? So your installation settings, depending on your target, whether or not they are tech savvy or they understand how processes work in Windows, and whether or not they, whether or not they understand what's going on in these systems, unlike normal users who don't really understand, what the task manager is about. Where you install it is very, very important because, again, if a user is snooping around their, their system files, and they find this weird, name, that's currently running, and for example, if they perform a netstat command and they see that there's outgoing traffic to you're using a very weird port, as I just showed you right there, they're going to get suspicious. So you can choose to install the client, which is, I would recommend that, but you have to be really, really smart about how you name the file and in what subdirectory and directory you install it in. For me, the best place to install it in is the system folder, because obviously I'm going to just tell you what I think. And this is because not many people will suspect that there are going to be malicious files in their system folder. Usually most people that I've seen, quite tech savvy people, usually like to go through the program files, or they go into the app data. All right. Now app data is good. Not a lot of people check there, but if you're caught, it can be really, really bad. Right. So you can choose to do that. I'm not going to do that. You can also choose to run the client when the computer starts, which is awesome. Now, again, this is where it all comes down to social engineering. If you leave this like this, right, and someone checks their task manager and goes to the startup option and they find something with a name like Quasar Client Startup, they're going to get a bit nervous. So, stay away from naming things that obvious. You could name it something like Java Updater or something like that. So Java Updater, and you can then build it. All right. Now going to the assembly settings, here is where you can just change the file information. Again, if you're trying to make it look a bit more believable, you can change the assembly icon. So really this RAT is giving you a lot of freedom in whatever you're doing. You have then your surveillance settings, which you can enable your keylogger. Fantastic, right? And you can again enable the keyboard logging. You can then log the directory name, and you can set the attributes to hidden so that it's not found by any snoopers or users that are quite smart and understand what's going on. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hop onto the network. No, I don't want to save my settings. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you guys something. Once you're done with your settings, just hit build client, and it's going to build it, and it's going to save it. Bin. And it's going to save it in a folder that you specify. I've specified client, and this is the program right here that you're going to copy over or somehow move it to your target's operating system. However you do that, that's up to you. So what I've done is I already have it running on one of these Windows computers on my network, which I use for testing malware, and I use it for a lot of really, weird malware stuff. that you know, I have to virtualize, because there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. And what I've done, so I'm going to connect to the network, and what you're going to notice now is it's going to come up, my computer is going to come up, and I'm just going to I'm going to blur out what is important here, so that you guys do not you guys, you know, I have to you have to respect my privacy. I hope you understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to block out some of the stuff right here. So I'm going to block out the IP address, right, and the operating system. I'll leave that the way it is. But I'm going to connect to the network right now. So I'm going to change the country and the IP address. So, you know, just to preserve my privacy, I hope you guys understand that. So, I'm going to run this on the computer now. I'm doing that right now. It's right in front of me. All right, that's running. The next thing, by the way, this is not detectable by an antivirus. So, you know, that's a huge plus right there. So when you're ready, just go to settings and you want to hit start listening. All right. So that's going to listen on that port for a connection, for an incoming connection, reverse connection. So I'm going to start listening, and I'm going to save that, and we're going to have to wait now for it to detect me on the network. There we are. All right. So as you can see, we have found the computer, which is fantastic. And as you can see, I'm running, it's the tag is Alexis station. I call it that because that's where I run all my weird stuff. The test station. So it's going to give you your username and your PC name, right? You then have your version, the operating system version. You have the status, you have your user status, and I said it'll give you the IP address, but I'm not going to show mine for privacy. You then have your operating system, which is Windows 10 Pro, and the user account type, which is the user. All right, now you're most interested in what we can do now. All right, so let's check out what we can do exactly. So the first thing I'm going to try and do is I'm going to show you these awesome tools. We're going to start from the beginning. All right, the first thing you can do is perform a connection, connection management really, where you can connect, update, or disconnect. You can also uninstall the client, which is awesome. It gives you that ability remotely. You then have your system, which gives you system information. It gives you the ability to access your file manager, your startup manager, task manager, your remote shell, TCP connections, reverse proxy, registry editor, and you can elevate the client permissions. This is just incredible. I mean, you know, the amount of power you have with this is incredible. And not to mention, you can shut down, restart, or stand by. I mean, I remember back in the day we used to run these different PHP rats, and we would write scripts to turn off the computer. Like when I mean turn off, I mean like just without warning, not correctly shut down. And yeah, we corrupted a lot of computers. Yeah, we did a lot of weird stuff. But going back to what we can do here, we have surveillance, which allows you to check out your remote desktop, remote webcam, password recovery, and your keylogger. All right. And miscellaneous allows you to remote execute a local file, which means you can execute an executable from the host computer, and you can visit a website, or you can show a message box to mess with people. All right. So again, some of these things are quite nice to have. Now let's look at the system. Again, you can look at the file manager, and there we are. Awesome. Fantastic. You can look at the different disks installed. So let's say we go to users, and we can go to my user, and we look at my desktop, and as you can see, we still have the Saint file, and we have the client file, which I copied right here, and I ran it just now. So awesome. Fantastic, right? So you can actually browse for files here. You can download files, you can upload files, you can rename the files, you can literally do everything to the files that you want, which is incredible. All right, so that's the file manager, pretty self-explanatory. The next is the startup manager, which allows you to, to run what services start up. And I've not installed much on this. I have my OneDrive. I have the security, which is the Saint, which we looked at in the previous video. We then have the Java update tool. Right now, looking back at the system, we then have the task manager, which will look at the current tasks running, which is it's quite nice to have this and to understand what's running. So we have Skype running. That's just Windows for you. Windows has weird services running in the background. All right, now let's look at something else. We have the remote shell, so you can write your remote shells right here. So we can perform an IP config. Whoops, we have nothing. Oh, there we are. We actually ran the command. So yeah, it's using the Windows reverse shell. And you can see the local IP address there, and yeah, that's working perfectly. So we can run remote shell commands really well. System. We then have your TCP connections, which I'm not going to show you for obvious reasons. Reverse proxy, registry editor, something very interesting. All right, so you have to elevate the privileges to run the registry editor. So there we are, fantastic. And we can, the damage you can do is unbelievable, right? So system, what else do you have to look at? We can actually run I'm not going to shut down or restart the computer right now because that would be somewhat stupid. All right, now let's look at something that I really love, and that is remote desktop. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the remote desktop right now. And there we are. It's going to give you a lot of options here. You can enable mouse input. You can enable keyboard input. You can change the quality, right? You can change, if the computer has multiple monitors, you can monitor both the monitors. And you can finally hit start to get started. There we are. Fantastic. So this is what I'm currently running on that computer, the test computer. So I'm going to open up the start menu right now. So let me just do that. Hopefully that doesn't lag out because I am running a virtual machine. And there we are. Fantastic, right? That is working splendidly. Let's try and open my files here. This was the client file that I just ran. As you can see, client build. And that is essentially going to be the file that we ran, which is the RAT. All right, so fantastic. That's working out really great. And yeah, that's basically it. Now, if I enable the mouse input, it'll allow me to control the computer from here. So if I open that up, there we are. It did open up. If I open Microsoft Edge, which I don't recommend you do under any normal circumstances for obvious reasons, right? So that's working up. Let me just expand that so we have a better resolution of what's going on. You can enlarge that and have quite a good idea of what's going on your target's computer. But I'm going to close up Edge because I'm running this virtual machine on some really low resources right now. So that's how to use your remote desktop. Really exciting stuff. All right, so I'm going to stop that and I'm going to close it up. And now I'm going to try and use the webcam. Hopefully it allows me to start it. So yeah, that's because I've disabled the driver for obvious reasons as well. So I'm not going to be able to show you that. Looking at surveillance, you have your keylogger. So let's get logs. So there we are. We did open the HTML file, which was opened by Microsoft Edge. So I'm going to try and log some new files in here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type something like CMD. Again, pardon my poor performance on my computer. Let's see if we can get anything new. The logs are stored in the HTML file. There we are. And there we are. So we got the commands CMD. Let's try and run another one. So let's see. Let's say you're trying to log into your username. So let's say you entered your email like so. So hackersploit@gmail.com. There we are. And if we get the log just to see if everything worked, it takes a while to update. Back. All right. Updated. Yeah, there we are. It does work. So it does give you keystroke commands as well and some of the special keys that you could be running. Awesome. So yeah, we're getting to the last things that we can do. And yeah, you have the keyloggers, password recovery. That is just for recovering passwords through password files and stuff's total. As you can see, it's going to automatically get, and I've not entered any passwords on my keychain on Windows 10 because it does provide you with one regardless of the browser that you're using. All right, so then you have remote execute and visit website. So you can enter website that you want to visit. So let's say hsploit.com. That would be pretty cool if it does show up. So visit website. So let's see if that opens up. It's obviously going to open up on Microsoft Edge. All right, so again, I'm just going to give it a few seconds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the remote desktop so you can actually see what's going on. Whoops. For some reason, we're not getting that connection right now. But let me just connection. Let me update it. Whoops. So it's still connected. There we are. So miscellaneous. What I'm going to do is remote desktop. Hopefully it opens up right now. It's probably trying to open up the web page. Let's see if we can access the file manager. Oh yeah, we still can. So there must be an issue there with the remote desktop connection. Oh, there we are, it's working now. And that the URL did not open, but that's probably because of the overflow. And as you can see, something also very, very cool is the ability to check your FPS right here. And depending on your connection, from since it's remote, it's a remote, it's a reverse connection. The speed or the quality is determined by the client that you've installed this on. But that's it really. You can see the power that comes to you when you use QuasarRAT. So thumbs up to the author, and yeah, this is a fantastic tool. You can go ahead and check it out and understand how it works. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, or you found value in it. If you did, please leave a like down below. It'll be really, really appreciated. If you have any questions, any at all, hit me up on my social networks, or you can hit me up on Kick. For the latest hacking news and resources, check out my website, hsploit.com. Link will be in the description. And have a fantastic day. Peace. Fantastic day. Peace.